recording here. Awesome. So welcome to PTRU3. Our goal here tonight is to go over the final phase and just finish up all of our planning and assignments for Dimensius. A couple of things for rating that I did want to go over though before we dive into the plan and VOD is I'd like to show you guys on the weak auras. In the weak auras here, so in liquid, Mana Forge Omega, and then under Dimensius, if you expand all that, definitely recommend going through and, if you haven't already, turning off some of the things you don't need, checking and turning on things that you do, especially at this point in the fight. We kind of have a good idea of the things that we would like. But the thing that I would like to direct your attention to right now is under miscellaneous. And then under, let's see, or is it miscellaneous? Nullbinder, back, excess mass, devour, shadowquake. There we go. Yeah, Dimensius nameplate hider. This one hides all of the nameplates on the platforms of the Void Wardens, except for the innermost ones that we need to kill. So it eliminates a lot of clutter on the screen and a lot of the things that you need to cognitively look at. So I think it would help us focus. So that's there. I don't believe, though, that it's enabled by default. So you have to come in here and go to load and then uncheck. It should be checked as never, I think. And so you just uncheck it to make sure that it's loading. So I would recommend you guys check that out and play around with that. And then, the other weak auras here, and just make sure your UI is set up really strong for the fight so that we can finish strong. That's definitely worth your time. Okay. Other than that, let's go over something else here. So with the phases here, like the way that they are, let me see if I can pull this up. There are important CD timings that you need to know about. So I went through and made sure that and adjusted all of our phases here to about where we're going to be pushing. And so the thing that's most important here is that you recognize that the burn phase is at right around 604, and we're basically going to need to optimize for that entirely. This is number one. All the damage doesn't matter as much in the fight early on, but it starts to matter huge here, and the burn phase is that freebie. So basically all of your planning for your cooldowns needs to be in focus for optimizing for this burn phase at 604, which is probably right about where it's going to be, give or take a couple of seconds. So something that you'll notice is that the platforms are less than a minute and a half apart. So if you look at these here, so 309 and then 430, so there's about 10 seconds less than a minute and a half, right? So a minute 20. So what this means is that if you are a 1.5 minute class, you want to hold on platform 1. Make sure that you do not pop your cooldowns on platform 1. On phase 1, you can resend your minute and a half. So it's fine, right before the second devour when we gate in the Ohio section. Totally fine to resend on phase 1 whenever it works best for you. But once we get to the platform, don't send. 2 and 3 minutes we'll want to send, especially 3 minutes, which I think is only Buckus, but needs to send right away so that it would be back for 604 for the burn. Now, this also means that there's only about 4 seconds tolerance from when you land to when you want to send your minute 30 cooldowns on platform 2. So very important that you're sending those minute 30s instantly as soon as you land. And that's a lot of our classes. I think a lot of us are playing a minute and a half, so very important. 2 minutes will come back up during this platform, but you will hold for the burn at 6:04. Because on this platform, we need it to last the entire phase. Okay, so if there aren't any questions or comments about that, let's go ahead and go into, I think I'm going to do this a little bit differently. We'll go into the VOD and talk a little bit about what we see there, and then talk about assignments later. But here is our VOD here. I'll just go ahead and full screen it. So this is at the end of platform 2, just kind of so you guys can see the transition here. So they do the orbs here like we will, and then we're going to gate through the boss and then do a line formation. Let me lower him down. And so they're waiting. You notice he's saying don't hit boss, don't hit boss. They're waiting to push until after the winds cast here in 3 minutes. They need to make sure that the winds cast happens, and this is exactly what we're going to do as well. So after we complete the line formation, waiting, and then kill, and then there's going to be this pushback. Now, if you get pushed off the edge, it's okay, but there is a lot of damage here. We do have some cooldowns planned, so just make sure you're watching for those notifications that are coming through on the timeline reminders. But basically it's okay here to get pushed off the edge because you can't die from fall damage. The fall damage is deactivated at this point, so you're just trying to heal yourself and make sure you live. That's what they're doing. And then what's her face, Xalatath, catches us for the last phase. So it's totally fine to get knocked off the edge there. You just watch that again really quick. And yeah, she catches you. But a lot of people will be out of range of healing, so you just want to make sure if you're going to fall off early or stay on the platform longer than like your average person, then you'll want to heal yourself as much as possible, because you will be taking a bunch of ticking damage right there. So, and then we fall down just like on heroic, and then there's going to be a 15-second damage amp. So we will lust here and blow everything. So we have everything lined up here, and we can get this boss to about 60% in the damage amp, with everybody up, and we have everything optimized for this. So this is where you want to slam bang him. Even healers should be hitting pretty hard here. And then we've got the stars landing. We don't have too much running here as far as healing cooldowns are concerned. But because Lust is still running, we can just kind of spam through it. We do have an AMZ planned. I believe Maz's dropping this AMZ as the stars are landing. They do a lot of damage. I think we have darkness here and a rally, and then my hymn to increase healing, but that's it. So not a lot to get through this, so we'll just need to spam and watch people as these stars land. They chunk quite a bit. So he said watch where the rings are from. Notice that the rings spawn here in a triangle formation or a V off of the raid. You're actually baiting where these rings are going to be. The only thing that's not baited and is random is whether or not it's going to be a left set or a right set. So here you can tell that it's the left set because it's the biggest and most highlighted, and then it's going to be this one and this one, so they grow as they go. So we go left and we get the debuff here. So we can see that, and it'll be important to know that we bait that V later on, because there is a positioning for the next one after the next devour that is important for us to bait. Okay, so they will run. It's important to pick up your debuff as quickly as possible here. The ring does quite a bit of damage, and you want to get into this ring after it lands as quickly as possible so it starts your vulnerability timer. And then you're going to move, and then you're going to move back a little bit. So melee, be willing to back up a little bit and wait for that vuln. A 2-stack, if you're not like pressing something really big, is deadly. So you really need to only do a single stack, and blinks over these rings and that sort of thing are extremely good. Basically, whenever the rings come out, our movement is going to be in the direction in kind of like an L shape. So let's see if I can illustrate that here. So we would start around here, right, for picking up the first stack, and then we would move here for the second stack, right about here, like one planet over is about what happens, and then back up just a little bit for the third stack. So this is for people without any sort of blinks and that sort of thing. Mages have a bunch of different shenanigans that they can do in the last phase to skip over a bunch of ring stacks, but we won't go over that here. That's just something for them specifically. But as far as the rest of the raid, yeah, just check some VODs and see what you want to do and what seems good and what's comfortable. You guys can just run with the raid too. That's an option as well. Yeah, you can. You can also find a spot and basically skip over 2 at the same time. If you like hang back and wait for the Venn diagram, you can blink into the center of it, and only get hit by 1 really, or 0 if you want. You can actually get hit by 0. Okay, so that is the move there. So you'll notice they'll go over about 1 planet worth here. Yep, and then back just a little bit. So from here, we are all assigned to different planets. The way that these planets work is they detonate if 4 or more players enter the planet. So very important that you don't play in the planet, right, except for during the devour. And you'll notice there's some say spam here with some markers. So everybody's assigned to one that they'll go to. And middle will be the marker is what the call is. So you can see this red pillar right here. He marked it. That means that is the center. So right, since it's a circle, it's hard to tell like, okay, which ones are we using? They're going to be using these 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. So this one's going to be 1, this one's 2, this one's 3, and this one's 4. So all of you are assigned to specific ones of these, and so it's important that you get to that one. So that is here. Let me see if I can make it bigger for you guys. There we go. So you guys are assigned to this one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. X being the middle when it's marked, and I'll be pinging myself as well, so you can kind of see which one where the middle is playing off of, and then you'll just need to know, am I right next to the middle, like either left or right of middle, or am I the one that's 1 over either to the right or to the left, right? So just find your name on this assignments. This is in the Discord as well, so you can see that. But the basic idea here is that some of our least mobile players are in number 1, and then it increases in mobility basically as we go, and then there's 4. So everybody will actually run around to the left as a raid, with the exception of the mages and the active tank. The mages in 4 will actually go around this way. You just want to watch mages and blink over the tank so that you don't get autoed. If you get autoed, most likely you're going to get knocked into the boss and die. So you go around that way, and then there's going to be an AMZ on the other end that we will get into. I believe this one is Wars. And then all 4 planets will explode. But it's important that we all basically sprint around and get to that. And this is one of the fastest portions of the phase. If we can get this next section down, then it starts to slow down a little bit and you get the idea, and then it starts to repeat. But yeah, 1, 2, and 3 run to the left and around to the other side, and 4 will run around to the right, with the exception of the active tank. The active tank actually comes with us to the left from 4 because they're going to stand here and pull us with the pull, but tanks do something a little bit different. All right, so let's see that happen here. All right, let's go. So they have this middle pinged. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. He is in number 3 here, and the 4 is over there to the right. And now they're running around to the side. So all 4 are exploding, and it is fall off damage from there. Then we've got the gravities. So what's gonna happen here, and this is where it starts to get a little bit hairy, is that we are doing the gravities, and the gravities pop basically right after the pull. So the way that they're going to handle this and the way that we're going to handle this is, it's gnarly in terms of living here. This is a big rewind zone for Muck, and then we've got a bunch of other raid cooldowns running as well, but it's a big danger zone. So it explodes and the tank pulls us at the same time as the explosion fall off damage, and then like 2 seconds later the crushing gravity goes off, and so we need to be in our spots. This is the familiar crushing gravity from the platforms, though. The way that this is handled is that the healers will plant. They won't press their movement buttons at all, and just stay right wherever the tank grips them to. Melee will go to the right towards the grip, so they'll run with the grip just a little bit. So if you're in the melee assignment, run a little bit with it. And ranged will fight to the left. They'll fight against it to the left, and that will create a line formation that's spread. But healers center, melee go with and to the right, and ranged will fight the pull and go left, and then resolve the mechanic. So let's watch that here in real time. So they're going to get pulled, and now they're fighting and going, and it resolves. Bang and bang. So it's pretty fast. Let's just watch that from the planets in real time. So this happens all really quickly. I'm going around. Range fight. Melee going with. And boom, boom. So big death moment there, possibly, but if you know it's coming and you know exactly what it looks like, it's definitely executable. But if you don't know what you're doing, that can be pretty rough. So for the line formation here, just as an example, boss is up here, right? We're going to execute it this way. Healers plant, melee run with to the right because they're getting pulled towards this tank, and ranged will fight against towards the left and just spread them out. Just like that in melee. And then all of the, this is the, well, actually 2 of the next ones will be L formation. They will not be in a line. So when we do the L formation on the next 2, ranged will be in the back here, healers front left, and melee front right. And this is to be pulled around a star, and the stars will happen here, but you guys will see that here in a moment. But basically that's all the mechanics in the last phase. You've seen them all at this point. They just get handled a bit differently, and also we're running out of space. So these, right, the boss is death, so you can't go into the boss zone at all. And then all of these stars are death, so you can't go here. And the outside of the room is death, so, and it's coming in. So we're running out of play space, and then we're going to need to use these 4 planets as well on the next one. This is the point where we want to bait the rings to come out, and so it's important that everybody is on after we resolve that Ohio portion with the pull and you know, making the line formation. We want to bait as a whole team for the rings here. So we want to be stacked right here on the second planet. So this is number 1, number 2, and number 3, number 4. We want to be on that second planet. If we do that here and we bait the rings, it sets up for us so that when we do the pulls and stuff later, we do not have to play around the used up planets, which is really important that we don't play around those, right? So we want to set this up with the rings here. So I'll be calling this. You just stay with me, and we'll get it done from there. Any questions from here so far before we let this play forward? It is relatively simple, actually, but you know, there are some subtleties to it that'll be important. Okay, so they're baiting those rings on the second one right here. That's perfect. They call left. And this one's going to be gravities first into a tank pull. So they're going around and doing these vulnerabilities. Melee, be careful and be a little bit patient here, like melee and healers. So we're making this L formation now, right? But you want to make sure you don't get double hit by the vulnerability. You have about, how long do you have? 3 seconds after you cross to get spread into the healer and the melee section. So just be aware of that. And then this pull is going to happen. Now, it's really important that the tank basically makes, they're playing pretty well here. This is decent. I would actually like to see, so if you look at the angles here, it's important for the tank to have like a straight line between themselves and the melee and the healers. So the healer one, I'd like to see a little bit further forward and to the left, like a bit more like that. Tank's playing back and pretty well here, but you'll notice that actually the ranged are looking like they're going to get gripped through the planet, which is a little bit scary. You know, remember, if like 1 or 2 or 3 of you touch it, it's okay, but once 4 starts getting in there, it will detonate. So it would actually be better if this range stack was moved over a little bit, so there was a clear line between the tank and the range stack that doesn't pull you through a planet, right, is the idea. But we make this L formation here. So whoever gets assigned to place the circle is going to need to keep an eye on the tank and position themselves accordingly. So it's a spatial awareness mechanic right there. And so that goes off first, and then the tank pull happens after. So and this is the second gravity that we've done, right? So there's the first line one, and then this is the second one, and the second one's an L formation. Cool. Getting pulled, and now they're just in melee spawning rings. Going left. So this is the next hard gravity on this one. And this one is the one that teams affectionately call hands up. So they're going to do the L formation again. But what happens is the pull now happens first, which means that this gravity detonates while you are sliding towards the tank in the middle of the pull and the slide, which means they call it hands up, because literally take your hand off the keyboard because you want to just get in your formation first. Tank pulls you, and then it resolves itself and detonates mid pull, but you can't move during it, right? Because if you move, you're just going to screw it up. So you want to get into formation here, and then it pulls, detonates mid pull. So let's watch that happen in real time. All formation, get to your spots, and then hands up, hands up, hands up. And it will detonate, yeah, at the middle of that pull. So they did that well. So this one, you don't need a ping for the middle on this one, right? Because there's only 4 stars available. The other ones are unavailable and will kill you. So it's pretty obvious where the middle is and where you should go. So and that's the same idea here. So if you were assigned to 1, you're here, 2, 3, and 4, right here. Same idea, run around to the left, get safe. Now this one, so we did 2 L formations. This gravity is back to a line formation, and this one will be marked and pinged as well. So there's a red X here and pinged. That's going to be the middle, and that's the healers. We make a line formation. Melee will be on the right, and ranged will be on the left here. You'll see that happen. But you want to play back because you're going to get pulled towards the boss. The tank is going to be on the other side of the boss at this point, so you want to play back. And then as soon as the pull goes off, you want to fight against the pull. So this one's pretty tough because there's not much real estate, right? Like this is death, all of this is death. And then you need to try and spread out. So finding, if you're placing the medium circle for your team, just finding the best place that you can, notice, and then you want to rotate, rotate with it, right? So the planets are moving. So you want to find that middle spot like he's doing here. It's pretty decent, but you have to keep moving as the planets are moving. You can't just plant. So that's important there. And then you move, and then when the tank grip comes out, you want to fight against it so that you don't get pulled into the boss. Normal run speed is totally fine there as long as you react pretty quickly to it. A little bit of movement speed is okay too, but you can actually do it without any movement speed to make that happen. Cool. So let's see that one happen. They just did rings, or the explosion here, and now they got gravity. So they got the marks, healers mid, ranged left, melee right. And notice they didn't really get a good spread there. Like if you look at where they are, there's a lot of players here that are stacked because they're trying not to get one banged by the gravity hole. So it's okay that they're stacked. We just need to be like topped and watching ourselves in defensives. If we are not going to get a perfect spread here, right? So just be aware and try to spread as much as you can. But if you're going to stack, definitely pop personals and just be aware of that happening there. So they're going to get pulled through the boss. Struggle against is the call. And now they've got rings. Rings spawn again. So it's hard to see here out in the stuff, but this one's another left one. So they're going left. Pick up a debuff as quickly as possible to get your vulnerability. Don't get doubled. Yeah, a lot of people there got doubled because it's less play space, so they rushed it a little bit. So you just want to watch your vulnerability, then run back. And now we've got another gravity. This one's difficult as well. This is another line formation, and they killed it. And we should probably right around there as well. But there's just another gravity that is a line formation at that point that will play in between the planets as well. So this one, tank sucks us from the right, and then right melee run with it. Healers plant. And range struggle against to the left, and then the L soaks here, L soak again, and then you've got the last one, which is the pull through the boss there. So relatively simple actually, but if the phase lasts much longer than this, it's just it starts to come apart very quickly. So that's why that burn phase and what we were talking about with cooldowns and maximizing for that 604 burn phase is going to be critical to our success. So that's that. Tanks have their own stuff going on for sure, and I've been in talks with them, and they're going to be doing their own research as far as like how they're going to do their swaps and where they're going to position. But for us, we're all going to stay together and do the same thing. So pretty straightforward. Stay with me, stay with my calls, stay with my pings, and we can do it. Does anybody have any questions before we call it here? I'll move it. Yeah, it will be used to mark like what we're going to determine as middle. So I'll put an X and then also ping myself on the same spot just so that there's like extra visibility on like where that's going to be. Yep. Cool. The boss does slow people and put a dot on them randomly, like as we're running around to get to the other side for this fall off damage. You can be picked for a slow. So if you have things to remove snares, Avalard, if you want to be a superhero, like as we're running around, if you can pick somebody for a freedom that needs it, that would be sick. Um, so just be aware of that. That's very difficult to get around if you get snagged with that and you don't have much in the way of movement. That little slow in the dot, like dropping you low and keeping you close to the fall off damage is pretty rough. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Not too bad to live. Okay, was there anything else that I needed to tell you guys? I don't think so. All right, cool. Well, we know everything that we need to know, so I'm excited to put it into practice and go kill this boss with y'all. Right after break on what? On Sunday? Wow. That would be cool. Yeah, just to start seeing phase 3 this week. P2 I think is tough. We're gonna need to milk it, right? It needs to last as long as it can, so we're gonna just need to do all the mechanics clean on P2. We got a lot of minute and a halfers, man. We got a lot. We can do something kind of demonic too, and some groups are doing this, is actually take an orb off of the platform so that you don't have to hold damage. Um, yeah, I don't think it's going to make sense for us right away, but once we get really comfortable, it will. I really like their positioning here. They just go backwards, run. Okay, yeah, yeah. Killing the right thing. So fighting against the winds. I also like, and we were talking with the tanks about this, I think we just put the mini boss like basically on top of the ad, inside and on top of it. So there's no question, and we're just eliminating the wipe condition of killing the wrong ad if we position it right there. And Mazza can position it right there every time because he doesn't care about wins, right? So he can go exactly where he wants to go and position like right here. So we were talking about doing that. So if you notice that the boss is on a little bit of a different position, I think one thing that's going to kill us yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, well, yeah. Good point. Yeah, they're baiting right here pretty close to the null binder. I could probably move the X a little closer, and that would get it a little further out as well on the angle. The only thing that I think is going to be tough for us on this platform is making it through all this crap to the other side and just running there. Most of us can get there, but like if you don't have your mobility ready for it, you can actually get caught in this crud and then not make it to the soak. That might be better than what I have planned. Where do I have it? I actually have it. I have it on wins, first platform wins. Yeah, that doesn't seem as necessary. Yeah, we can move it. We can move it to the rock at 505. That's when the planet gets thrown. No, not 505. 458 is when that would be. He could actually pop it a little earlier. Cool. All right, we'll officially stop the recording and end PTRU though. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for your time and attention and your attendance. See you this weekend.